I just like to make goals that are, not achievable is all.
It's good. It's good.
HBs, we're here with two of my HB friends. This is Kiran and Lynn Camden, and they're here to chat with us about a book. Hi!
Hi.
Hello.
How are y'all?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Listener, that was Kiran. If you want to try to keep up. Lynn, do you want to say something out loud? And then we'll.
Yes, I am
Oh.
amazing, and I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my God, that's Lynn. And I'm loving the energy you're bringing today. And then this is me. This is my voice. So, all right. Lynn said she had some tea, some dirt, some shit to spill.
I
Ugh.
just,
Tell me
Kiran-
everything.
Kiran
Yes.
is a stone cold bitch, and I just want you to know all about her.
I do know that, and it's one of the things I love most about her.
She is incredible. This, this woman, ice in her veins. We are driving together through Minneapolis on a road
Okay.
trip.
Yes.
She's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to listen to? And I was like, whatever you want. You're driving. So she puts on this audiobook, this Lisa Kleypas
It was
audiobook.
Tessa Dare. It was Tessa Dare.
Tessa Dare.
It was Tessa Dare.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Tessa Dare.
Mhm.
I
She
do
puts
love
it on.
Kleypas too.
And I am like the type of person, like I'm listening to sci-fi right now,
Okay.
and it's got like body horror and like something about it being in graphic description in my ears is just like so much more intense and like visceral. And so we're like getting to this like romantic stuff. The kiss is happening, and I'm getting like squirmy. I'm like, okay, Kiran, and I'm trying to be like super cool because she is driving stone cold again, like just like staring at the road in front of her, like nothing is happening.
It takes a lot to shock me. Ice in my veins right now. I'm like, bring it. Impress me.
And then we're like ramping up towards the sex scene.
Yes.
I tried so hard. I tried to last as long as I could.
Like, Kiran, I just can't. I can't. And I was like, what? It's not like Missy Elliott. He's not flipping it down, reversing it. It's
There
fine.
you go.
I can't do it. I can't sit beside you in a moving vehicle on the highway and listen to this man going down on her. I just can't do it.
Well, I'm like, why are you so red? Why are you so red? We got to get off on this entrance.
And I was trying to play it off so cool. I was like, so could we just listen to music first? Do you think we could?
I was actually hoping to find some Vanessa Carlton.
Had a hankering for the chicks. I don't know.
Let me put on some 1,000 miles, okay?
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Ice is in her veins, and I love her for it.
It takes a lot. I don't know. It takes a lot. I had a slutty 20s. I don't know.
And then I write erotica, and she's telling her friend about it, and she's like blushing the whole time. She's like blush up to here, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't understand you.
It's because I know you, and like it's weird. Like she's like, Kiran, you tell me like you like my other books, but did you not read my? I'm like, I did read your erotica. She's like, you did? Like, what did you want me to say? You're my friend. I talk to you. I see you in person. I know your children. What am I supposed to say? Like, good job on the blowies. Love the blowies. Like, it was good. I don't know.
Loved that scene where she tied him up. Loved it.
I was like, I see you like a mother figure in many ways because you tell me what to do.
You are mom on the Discord, so.
Yes, she's my very, very, very young mother.
Oh my God. You know what? Now that I think about it, I've never listened to a romance audiobook with anyone at all.
Apparently I got too bold. That was my first time too. And I guess I just, I got too bold. I
mean, I would disagree.
Better experienced alone.
I was like, we're both romance readers. I had a bunch of like books on my Audible. I could have put in something else, but I was like, do we want to listen to the Obama biography or do we want to listen to a romance? Okay, this is a romance. It's a good one. I was already listening to it. Let's put it on. And it was nice. Remember, Rekha? She had the goats. She had to find her animals.
Tessa Dare.
Oh, was that Tessa Dare? Ooh. Yeah,
Yeah.
But when
that
he pinned
Tessider is
her by the
good.
cool chute, I was like, I'm done.
I would prefer to be on my onesie for this if it's gonna happen. Did you guys listen to the audio for this book?
I read
Oh,
it.
tell
Okay.
I
me
read
all
it.
about it. Was
I'm
it good?
very odd about audiobooks. I love listening to them when I'm cleaning and when I'm
Yeah.
like driving, but I have to be doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, I was in like a wedding this weekend. So I was like reading just in between when I was at like at night and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of those people that can just sit and listen to an audiobook.
Mm.
I'm also like a crazy fast reader. So sometimes when I do that, I'm like, I could be doing this quicker. I could finish this in a
Oh,
night. So it
totally.
bothers me. But if I'm driving, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I felt like that for a while. And then I don't know what it was. Like maybe it was pandemic, maybe it was whatever. But Sabrina told me that she usually knits or crochets while she does it.
Yes.
And so I started doing that, and it's fucking incredible. I don't know why I hadn't thought about it before, but it's fine.
If
I
you
know.
have
And
to speed read it for a podcast, then you can't do the audio
no,
because it just takes too damn long.
It's
some
true.
people
Well,
can.
I
Some
do
people
double
can.
times.
Do
Yeah.
you? Oh, I
Double
have a
it.
hard time with that.
Yeah, because the software doesn't make them sound like chickmunks.
Hmm. I do
Like,
like it when I'm doing like a deep clean. I always put on like something while I'm doing a deep
mm,
clean of the house. That really
yeah.
helps.
Yeah. No, so when I'm editing in Audacity, well, actually when I'm editing anywhere, I turn up the speed because I can hear whatever I need to edit out, but I need to do it faster. And Audacity makes us sound like maniacal squirrels. But then my other editing software does the same thing as like audiobooks where we're just faster, but we're still in the same vocal register. Anyway, sometimes I do it in Audacity just because it really amuses me.
I
Sometimes you
look
want to
forward
sound
to
like
being a
Simon,
chipmunk.
Theodore, and Alvin. Like sometimes you just
Yeah,
want to sound like the Chipmunks. It's cool.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, should we talk about Book?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, did you like Book?
I really liked Book.
Yeah,
Absolutely did.
yeah,
Kieran and I were
same.
texting a little bit about it and like commenting about how unique it is to hear in a MF just from the hero's perspective.
Yeah.
Like it was just really that was a really interesting thing that I don't often encounter, if ever. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I hear authors, a lot of times authors will be like, I usually um, identify more with the hero if they're writing MF, or whatever. But I don't think I've ever seen a just male POV. And I really loved it. I thought she captured him so well.
Yeah,
Um,
and I also liked how like um she really the heroine really was like almost like a hero in many single POV ones. Like she was
mhm.
treated exactly like a hero was, where we didn't necessarily get her internal monologue. We knew what was up with her. She was a fully realized character, but it wasn't like split evenly just because she was a woman. It was very
Yeah.
much his story. And Rebecca put it best. He had the heroine's journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a book about the heroine's journey by Gail Carriger
Oh yeah.
about like how a heroine, instead of like doing the usual story that a hero might do in a hero's journey story,
Mm.
does like it's a journey from like disconnection to connection kind of thing, like finding family and finding connection. And so that's why you see this like heroine's like journey in romance a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so he is having like a heroine's journey, like a Gail Carriger heroine's journey, like
Yeah,
in this book.
literally in
Yeah,
that
it's
way.
really cool.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is book 2. And I will say that as a person who did not read book 1, there were a lot of book 1 shenanigans that like I knew meant something because it was obvious that it meant something and it was historical and all the things. But that was I think my only complaint is just like and I don't even think it's a complaint because I really liked everyone and I thought all of the storylines intertwined really well, but we do spend a lot of time without them together.
Yes.
No?
Yeah, I do think it's almost in a way like it's definitely a romance, but I almost think it's almost like a coming of age story for him in many ways. Like it's very much about him like getting out of prison, having to rebuild his life, having to become a better man, not just for her, but his family and just like in life in general. And he mentions it a lot. He starts out 18 and then he went to jail when he was 18. He's 23 now. He's a man. I really thought that too. I had actually read the first one, but years and years ago, because they came out like in 2018. So I didn't remember much about it beyond the fact that like it involved a single mom and I liked it. And he was a brewery owner. So it brought some things back. But this book actually made me want to reread it and also read the third one, which I didn't even know existed because I guess it came out like 4 years after the fact.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to go back.
Yeah. I mean, it was so good. Okay. So, and Mia Hopkins can do some sex.
She can do some sex.
That is wowza.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about that.
If you are anyone named Blair, I would like to do a tiny content warning for the word little and tiny.
You're right.
Little nipples, tiny clitoris, tiny everything, tiny.
Well, the clitoris does grow to almost be like a stone, if you recall.
That's true.
I
could
have done away.
Hips, whatever that means. She has very pretty hips, whatever that means.
I just
absolutely.
Like, if we could talk about a grown woman without using the word little for nipples and things, I would be real happy.
Maybe they were little nipples though. Like she can't help her teeny tiny nipples.
Totally.
Shaming people with teeny tiny nipples.
Wow, Lynn.
They are regular sized. Wow. I just think that they are.
I was today years old when I found out Lynn Camden is a nipple shamer. And
like, if you have little nipples, I do not want to deal with you. I don't want to see you, and I will in fact oppress you.
Listen, with my saucer nipples, I don't feel unsafe.
You are safe with me,
Melody. If I had different kinds of areola,
you could just we're not in a safe space anymore. That's for sure. That's for darn sure.
Okay, so we've got Eddie Rosas, and he grew up in East Side LA with his whole family. He's third generation gangbanger. His dad like almost got out and then trauma and bullshit happened and he right back in and he pulled both of his older sons in with him. And Eddie has just gotten out of prison. He was in prison for carjacking for 5 whole years. And this man is 23 years old. Okay. So talk about Arrested Development. Like,
absolutely. And like, apparently he spent most of his time in the slammer jerking off and reading romance novels.
Reading romance novels was like, every time it came up, I was like, a little tear.
I know.
That's all he had.
I love that it was delightful. Like this old timer was like, hey, I know it's lonely in here. Here's some vintage Joanne and Lindsay for you.
Yeah.
He just needed some love and comfort.
He needed connection.
Well, he was in the shoe. They put him in solitary for quite a while.
Yeah, he was in solitary for too long because any amount of time in solitary is too long.
Absolutely. And, you know, the prison industrial complex, this poor kid, did not have a good time.
Absolutely. So luckily he was safe from a lot of like the more severe violence because of his gang affiliation. But since he's come out, he's trying to lay low because he doesn't want to do gang stuff anymore. He's done with gang times. He wants to figure out how to go straight, he says.
But he is still technically, unlike his brother, a member of the gang.
Yeah.
He hasn't been allowed out. He is just trying to make sure they don't ask him to do anything, which is interesting.
Yeah, he's just trying to like duck around corners so that nobody sees him.
He is wants to live with his Tommy Tong friend.
Yeah,
he's bringing a bush along everywhere he goes. Along the sidewalk with him.
I love that.
He's just hiding behind alleys and he's like, is that a gangbanger?
Oh, no. Yeah, so he is in a community garden of my dreams.
Oh my goodness.
If I could live in that fucking community garden, I would let what's his name give me peyote. I would. It would be a terrible idea and I would do it just for what's his name. What was his name?
Raphael. Rafa is out here, you know, just doing perfectly legal hydroponics.
That's right.
And grow in his garden.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got hydroponics elsewhere. And here he does shit like vegetables and flowers and stuff. And it's
so many
fantastic.
herbs.
And so he's got herbs out the wazoo.
And don't forget the very, very sexy cilantro.
Oh my God. When her hair smells like cilantro, it just made my heart sing. I don't know why that one detail did it to me.
I was like, cilantro? Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because I've literally never heard it before. I've heard patchouli even, but never a cilantro, and I loved it.
It was good. It was a good detail too, considering what we learned about her.
The fact that he sees her like touching in the prologue, he sees her like touching the herbs, and then he like pictures what they would like smell like on his skin and like what the peppermint would like taste like on her mouth. I was like, I was in it. I was there.
Yeah. So it's the prologue. Yeah. We're in the prologue. He's in the garden, and he's like just gotten out of prison. And there is this gorgeous woman in the garden. She's kneeling over some herbs, and then she just starts spontaneously sobbing.
As you do. Right?
As one does.
I mean, been there. Don't get me wrong.
Love to be in a garden crying.
Yeah.
It's my Taylor Swift moment.
Absolutely. So he goes over and he's like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? And he ends up like walking her over to the trailer that he and Rafa live in. Rafa lives there. He's staying there right now until he like gets on his feet. And so they go into the trailer. He offers her a glass of water, and then it's on TM.
Yeah. It was abrupt.
Yeah. She goes from crying to just being like, I'm going to kiss you now. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he's like a little baby fawn. He is like so skittish and so like starved of human contact.
Yeah.
And women in general. Like
absolutely.
It's been a long time. And he says when he was a teenager, he was quite active, but it's been 5 years.
Right.
It's a different time. He doesn't have that confidence right now.
Absolutely. And like, I also think that all that time in there just chafing himself to romance novels, like, I think there was a moment where he's like, is this real life? Like, could this possibly be happening? Because it doesn't seem real.
Yeah. And I liked that. I liked that the author, like, it is the kind of like, it's like far-fetched, right? You find a woman crying, a beautiful woman crying in a vegetable garden. She comes, like for life, not for a romance novel. Yeah. But I like that he is like, this is weird. This isn't happening. What's going on?
Yeah,
like,
it's got great.
A dreamlike quality in that prologue that I really
like.
It does. Yeah, you're right. Well, and so he is very starved for connection. And so he's like, what's your name? And she's like, my tits are out now. And he's like, but what's your name though? And she's like, haven't you ever just wanted to like fuck a stranger? And he's like, I mean, like not no. I don't think I've ever super contemplated it, but like he asks her why she's letting him do this. And she's like, I just want you to make me forget. And he's like, forget what? And she says, forget everything.
Yes.
And then they have
distraught.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they have the most mind-blowingest sex that's ever hit the planet. Eddie might be a tiny fawn emotionally, but I'll tell you what.
Oh no. Yeah.
He's a daddy in the sack. He's a daddy in the sack.
They go on about how huge he is, or he goes on, I guess, about how huge he is a lot. And I was like,
he goes, you're too big. And he's like, say it again. Say it again. I'm too big for you. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, she's so tight and he's so big, but it works.
No, it's gotta.
Can't lie that I like that.
I loved it. I loved it.
And then this is when he mentions her pretty hips.
Yes. She has very pretty hips.
She has very pretty hips.
He loves the way her silky hair feels cool in his fingers, which was another detail that I just latched onto. I don't think I've ever seen that either. It was lovely. And then end of prologue. Goodbye. I don't even know if they come.
No, because all we know is he wakes up, she's gone.
Gone.
And he almost thinks like, was it a dream? Did that actually happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
And was Rafa just in the other bedroom? Like,
yes, he was there.
He was there.
I swear he was.
I thought it was midday and he was like in a squash patch.
You know what? He's there later on, which we will discuss, but I like how Rafa is just chill as hell either way. He's like, oh yeah, you're getting some, good for you, little bro.
Oh my God. I will say I had a one personal issue with reading this book, and that is that I get very nervous when I think somebody's gonna walk in or like something is gonna go wrong or whatever. And there were like no less than 3 or 4 scenes where it was, I mean, and so I would, like, even when they didn't get caught, I spent the whole time being like, I don't know, no, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen right now?
There was so much of that. And there were stakes because it actually did go wrong.
Yeah. And I think he would have been into it if it had.
I mean, he kind of is when it does happen, until he figures out it's a fucking disaster.
Right.
Yeah, no, I know. And some people, like, that is their kink. It's just not mine. And I just get real nervous.
I know. I'm the person, I'm like, I don't want to walk in on anyone. Like, wonderful, beautiful. I don't want to see you. Enjoy your lovemaking, but I don't need to be part of it. So
yeah.
I did not consent to being part of this scene.
Yeah. Okay. So chapter 1 opens, it's 6 months later, and he needs a job real bad.
And he's lost a few jobs.
And he's been losing jobs left and right already. Oh, also his nickname is Trouble.
Yes.
But he does want everyone to call him Eddie now because he's like he wants to move on from all of that. So he gets a job as a dishwasher. And when he shows up, the guy's like, have you done this before? And he's like, for sure. No problem. I'm an expert. Yeah.
Fake it till you make it only works sometimes. And not when there's actual skill involved.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I actually loved this because I feel like most people think that there is not skill involved with a dishwasher.
And there absolutely is.
It's just fucking false. Like that job, there is a sequence. There, like when he was, oh my God, when he was doing, when he was like showing the guy and he was like looking at the equipment and being like, I bet you pull this lever and then touch this button or whatever. I was like, oh my God, you have to rinse them first. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that's not a dishwasher, that's a sanitizer.
I worked at a hospital that had a dish machine that was worth $1 million. So when they were doing that, like I do this, I'm like, oh God, no, something's probably caught in there. You have to call someone.
Yeah.
I also appreciate that the second dishwasher is just a teenager named Boner who's God. Teach me your ways.
Oh my God. It's just call me Boner.
I loved Boner though. He's just a nice white boy who wants to be a chef but doesn't do well in school. So he's gonna want to be a line cook.
Yeah. He wants practical experience and he's got to work his way up, and Boner gets that.
Yeah. And Boner wants to learn how to dishwash from Eddie.
He does.
It's just he doesn't know it. He lied.
Yeah. And Eddie does come clean though. Boner's like, oh yeah, the guy told me that like I should just listen to what you said because you've done this before. And Eddie's like, I did lie. I did do a big fib on everyone. And so we're just gonna be cool and we're gonna figure it out together. And like it goes terribly.
Horrible.
They immediately get backed up because they don't have any sort of system. They don't know anything about this. And then
the disgruntled busboy has to help them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So first the busboy helps them. Yeah. Like he's like, try this. Like, you know, he has to show them how to stack the cups in the tray to get sanitized.
You know, they were not doing it business side down. They were doing it business side up, and all the water was getting caught in there.
You're completely right. Absolutely. So, you know, things happen and Boner does slip and fall over water that Eddie has poured on the ground.
And that's injury. They would have had to fill out a form for that, a WCB form.
There's like, water is like the death of kitchens. Like you don't have water on the floor for like even a second.
No.
Clean that up.
Absolutely
so that's
not.
Like wild. Yeah.
So
I was so nervous this whole time.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like there a bunch of this book, I was just like all of my sphincters were clenched and I didn't super know how to handle it. I was gardening for a lot of it, so that did mitigate it quite a bit. But
it's surprisingly high anxiety, like part of the book. Yeah.
It's high stakes too. He needs this job.
He does. He's got to go deal with his PO. He needs a job.
Yeah, absolutely. So shit is terrible. Like they break a whole stack of like handmade pottery because this is a capital F fancy place.
Mm-hmm. Several $1000s worth of dishes, which made me gasp.
Yeah, no, that's not a real thing, right?
No, it is a real thing.
No.
If it's handmade pottery, especially made for that restaurant.
No. I don't mean
they would not be putting that in a dishwasher. They would not be putting that in a commercial dishwasher ever.
Like I think the real thing, I believe that it costs that much. I just cannot understand why an establishment who is hiring a person named Boner to care for these dishes would put like, why would you, in a commercial space, why would you use that kind of dish? Listen, heatingbosoms@gmail.com if you have worked at a fancy capital F restaurant that uses artisan pottery to serve shit on. I don't know.
Especially when you have multiple people eating off of it, like, and you would not put that through a commercial dishwasher. It would not go well.
Oh my God.
But it's like custom made.
I can't even put my Golden Girls like wine cup through the commercial dishwasher without the decal going off of Rose. So I don't know how they just were like.
Yeah, and we're not compromising Rose. All right.
You just need to watch a little bit more YouTubes of potteries and see all the custom made ceramics that they do for these high end restaurants. Yeah, they're like the grade that does go through the dishwasher.
Okay, yeah.
But they're just real expensive. Like
and gorgeous.
And gorgeous and like beautifully formed and whatever.
Potteries with Lynn. Potteries learning with Lynn.
Yeah, I know nothing about it, but I would like to talk about it as though I do.
I love that.
I believed you. I was like, makes sense. She knows.
Lynn, we're going rogue in 2023. You can do whatever you want.
You are now living your ghost best life.
It's true.
On the cone.
I wish.
Oh my God. Okay, so he's been looking for his dream girl for 6 months. And suddenly she appears and she is in a chef's costume. Nope. A chef's
whites.
Uniform
whites. Yeah, whatever it is. And he's already like heard her talking, like basically like a general getting everybody on the same page in the kitchen. And he's already thought that was very hot. And then suddenly it is the girl from the garden. And he's like, oh my God, I found her. But they sort of simultaneously decide not to acknowledge that they know each other. And then I loved this because he's immediately just like, yes, chef, no, chef.
Oh my goodness.
He's listening to her and he's so into it. He's like, look at her go. So much fire. She's ordering them around. And she's like this wonderkin, like sous chef who like, she graduated culinary school and has been working there for 2 years, but has already risen through the ranks. So she's like the same age as him, but is running this kitchen because the actual chef only like most celebrity chefs is only there like maybe 3 times a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has a competence boner for her that is.
So did I. Honestly.
Yes.
She runs that shit.
Absolutely. So he does think he's getting fired. Understandable. Yeah. And so he starts taking off his apron and she's like, I'm so sorry. Unless you've got a couple of $1,000s to reimburse us for those dishes, you owe us some labor. And he's like,
you gotta pay that off.
Yes, chef. Puts his apron back on. He also covers for Boner. He's like, Boner didn't do anything. I did all of it. It was my whoopsie.
And Boner's like, you can see Boner has like little hard eyes. He's like, that's my man. That's my friend.
Yeah. Anyway, so he has the job now. And like, we sort of go in between him going to work and also helping with the Book One couple's brewery because he brews beer in Santa Monica and then they like deliver it elsewhere.
But neither of them have a license.
Right.
Because they lost it due to carjacking. Yeah. So that's another issue. They're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, that's a real barrier. My goodness.
This poor man's trying to bike to random jobs in LA.
Yes. That's actually something I really appreciated about this book. I thought it dealt with shit that like a lot of romance novels don't. Like these people are lower income.
Mm-hmm.
They are like from East LA,
Mm-hmm.
and they are people who have like not necessarily done the best things in life, but no one is treated as only good and only bad. There's no villains in this book. There's just shades of gray.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it talks about stuff that like, yeah, guess what? They lost their license, and that's a real barrier to work.
Huge.
He loses jobs for reasons that sometimes aren't his fault because he can't make it on time or he can't do it. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, when's the last time you've had a hero that's a smoker? Like that's really rare too nowadays.
And he doesn't quit. There's no like, oh, he's going to quit. It's like, no, you know what? It's good. He's not doing drugs. It's great.
Honestly, yeah. Well, and so did you read the like the reader note at the end, the author's note to the reader? Yeah. Yes. So Mia Hopkins volunteered at like a facility that helps ex-cons get back into society successfully.
Yes.
And so she said in this author's note that like a lot of the characters here are based on the people that she worked with and became friends with and got close with during that time. So that was really cool.
And that realness really comes through. Like it really comes through that she has some actual experience in this world and knows these people and isn't just like reading about it from afar and writing about it.
No. And she's not, there's no part of it that feels like gangster cosplay.
No, and none of it feels like offensive in like what you know what I mean? Like one of those like, like we should not be writing about this. This is not sensitive way.
Yeah,
it feels
and
very
like
lived in and very like respectful.
Right. None of it is sensationalized or, tokenized. It's really, really good. So, okay. So one of the issues that his older brother is having, Sal, is that he wants to get his beer to more people, but it's really hard, especially if you're making it in one place and trying to deliver it elsewhere without a fucking license to make the business grow. And they're constantly getting orders that they just can't fill. And he thinks one of the ways that he could change this is by opening a tap room where, like, eventually they would brew beer there. But at first, they would just serve a bunch of the beer that they make, and people could pick it up because it's way more, convenient than Santa Monica.
But they're actually discussing the logistics of it and how it's going to cost a lot of money. They have to find a space. They want to stay in the community, but the community is getting very gentrified. And I really liked his girlfriend is in fact an accountant. So she's the one doing all the numbers. And I loved that.
Loved it. Yeah, because like later on, I'm so sorry. I don't want to forget to say it later, but like later on when they're doing deals and both of the guys are like, our job here is to stand here and let the women do the work.
Yes.
Just stay quiet.
They're like the best possible way. Like they're being the boss.
These women are the best person for the job, and I would love for them to just shine. Like it's great.
I love that
so yeah. Okay. So he ends up working for a few days and she's not acknowledging him at all. And he's starting to be like, I thought she remembered me, but like maybe she actually doesn't.
And she's obviously like, dude, you are my employee. This is deeply ethically weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's just like, oh, does she not remember me?
Yeah. So one night he stays late in order to like, I don't know, finish something, etc. I think Boner gets sick. It's fine.
Boner gets sick.
Yeah.
Boner.
And so she's in the office late, which she doesn't always do, everyone.
And her shop shirt is open, showing her tank top, showing a little bit of bra.
Purple bra.
Purple
bra.
How
do you know?
Check it out.
Yeah. And so he stops by the office and he's just like, he keeps on trying to come up with shit to talk to her about. And she keeps being like, am in the middle of an order. Is there anything else? And he's like, yeah, well, how do you make an order for that prosciutto? Like, where do you, is it local? Or
and he kind of like comes up behind her and like puts his hands on her shoulders to kind of look at the computer. It
was so smooth because he just kept talking as though he's making small talk.
Yeah.
And like then starts like rubbing up on her. And then but like neither of them are acknowledging that he's touching her, except that she's like leaning into it, you know,
Been
like
there.
and
It's almost
so
like
and they're like
subconscious on her part.
yeah, they're like just talking about something else until, you know, eventually he's like, so you really don't remember me?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
like he forces her to acknowledge him after he's had his hands on her for a while.
Right. And I think one of the things that like really shows Mia Hopkins' talent is the fact that this is a completely POV book from him, his perspective. And yet this scene, which could be creepy off the bat, never felt creepy whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Like
she
you could
always
just
felt like she had her own agency, and she was never like we'll get into it because we'll talk about it later, but even with like certain things that happened, she was never treated as like a child or someone who wasn't a fully grown adult woman.
No, absolutely. And he talks a lot about like sort of reading her cues and being like, I put my hands on her shoulders and she doesn't move away.
Yeah.
And so he's sort of feeling her out as this goes. And like at one point she leans into him and like, you know, it's great. But so he's like, you're a garden girl, right? Like I didn't make that up. And she's like, you're my employee.
Yeah.
And he sort of doesn't know what to do with it. And I think
and
like
she's kind of like, yeah, you know, I just wanted to have like a one night stand.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to talk about this. You're my employee.
Right. And because he keeps being like, it was fucking magic what happened between us. Like the chemistry was insane.
Yeah. He's like, that wasn't just sex. That was something else.
Yeah. And she's like, it really was just sex for me. So whatever. And he's like, bullshit. Like, there's no way that was just sex for you. Like, that's bananas. But he sort of like, he asked her to go to dinner with him. And she's like, I don't sleep with my employees. And he's like, wow, who's being presumptuous now?
Like, it made me laugh. He's like, I said dinner.
I
didn't ask you to do anything else.
God, just thinking about my dick all the time.
That's so big.
But then they get interrupted by like another person. And it's super late. It's like 1 a.m. So they decide to all leave together. And
but wait.
Oh yeah, tell me everything.
She reveals here that she knew him the whole time.
Oh, fuck yes, you're right. Go ahead. Yeah, tell him everything.
Important. So yeah. she like knew him from childhood because he would come into her family's bakery.
Yeah.
And, you know, like he says that they would like, you know, shoplift chicle and like buy, you know, baked goods and stuff like that.
Yeah, the sweet roll,
and
the sweet bread.
She watched him as a kid. She watched him. She had a little crush on him.
She did.
And she tells
so she
him
knew
right
exactly
now.
who he was when she decided to go for it in the
garden. And my favorite
is
that like, even though this could be like sort of embarrassing for her, I love that she presents it like the audacity of him, because she's like, do you really don't remember who I am?
Yeah,
and
she's like,
he doesn't. Like he never remembers her from childhood, which is hilarious to me.
No, and he remembers distinctly her parents, but he does not remember her. And she's like, we were literally the same age. I used to watch you. I had a crush on you. And I love that she's like, when he asks her about it, she's like, yeah, I just thought like I should go for it. I saw you. I wanted to have a one night stand. I always had a crush on you. I just wanted to see if I could.
It was ballsy. I liked that about her.
I really liked it too. And it makes extra sense when we find out what she was crying about. Because I feel like it was one of those like, life is too short. I'm going to seize that dick. Yeah. You know?
Absolutely.
Carpe dick.
Carpe dick. Yes. Oh my God. Carpe dick forever. Oh, I think that has to be a logo of some sort.
Oh, Captain, my captain, Carpe dick.
So he is astounded, and I love this because part of it is that he's astounded that like this woman would ever find any value in him, regardless of age or time or place or anything. He's just like,
yeah, because he's like, she has a degree from a fancy culinary university. She's running this kitchen. She is pretty. She's classy. And I'm just a gangbanger who just got out of prison. That's how he sees himself. That's not what I'm saying.
And then in that same chapter, is where you first get the like placement that she is underappreciated and underpaid, because he observes that she's not mentioned in any of the cookbooks from that restaurant in that same chapter. And he like looks at her like shitty car and like, you know, like compared to the owners like Alfa Romeo or whatever.
That where she gets like the amazing review.
Yeah.
No, this is the next. That's the next one.
That's the chapter. Yeah. Okay.
But like, yeah. So he like starts to notice the juxtaposition of like her skills and talent and her like boss, you know.
Well, and her
abilities.
boss comes in, so they walk out, all three of them together, and then, but like when they're by her car, he's like, he kind of frames it as like, well, can I call you? And because he's there, he's like, for shifts, if there's more shifts.
Yeah. He's like, can I call you? And she's like, he's like, well, how about you call me? And she's like, and he's like, well, kiss me shift stuff. Like maybe you want to call me in on my day off.
An extra dishwasher.
It's so cute.
She gives him her number, but she does it like with the door kind of like blocking so the boss doesn't see.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
So then the next time they are working together, I shriveled into a husk because so she gets this really amazing review. And for the first time, a food critic has been like, this dude's name is on the restaurant, but like she is the force that's driving the, like he calls it like playful recipes and stuff.
Well, and they say she makes a good restaurant great. And she's worried because it's an amazing review for her, but she's like, shit. Like
we have skipped so much, you guys. We've skipped a hot masturbate.
Oh, I forgot about the hot masturbate.
Let's let Rebecca then. Rebecca, you took the notes.
I just want to just note that we have skipped a hot masturbate, a power exchange, the
power exchange?
Yes, where she's like in control, but then he becomes in control in the bedroom, you know, like that kind of thing. Except it's not the bedroom, but you know, whatever.
Oh, because he has this detailed fantasy that I was impressed with.
Yes.
I was like,
he's very good at masturbating because he says himself in prison he would do it 2 to 3 times a day. So he's gotten real good at that.
So in that scene
part where he goes like, I guess I'm doing this.
Yeah, in that scene, there's like a power exchange where he's like taking the power back, like, you know, they're like exchanging who's like in control.
And he says she is in control all day, and so now I'm just going to take care of her.
Yes,
and he thinks that that's what she would really like in bed.
I love that.
Except you're right.
Then we switch right into this little phrase where she's pinching her nipples like chopsticks. Question mark.
Wait, what?
Why is she pinching her nipples like chopsticks?
Are her fingers the chopsticks?
Yes, she's scissoring her fingers like this to pinch her nipples.
Scissor
like scissors, except he describes it like chopsticks.
Interesting.
And I was like, no, don't bring chopsticks into this.
So would the index finger and thumb be like crab style?
That's what I was thinking. I don't think it's scissoring because I'm thinking about how I hold my chopsticks, and I feel like
he said scissors first and then chopsticks.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense
because went from scissoring them, realized that's not very effective, and then started chopsticking them.
And
incredible,
whatever happened there in his mind.
Wow, and that's fantasy. That's not like.
That's him.
Ladies just doing her.
Nope. No. He's like, I like it when girls chopsticks.
Doing the chopsticks.
We all got our kinks, man. He likes a little chopstick in the bedroom.
You know,
love it.
I can't.
Wow.
Tiny chopsticks are great for eating Cheetos, though.
They are.
So,
they are.
You know,
they absolutely are. Yeah. Okay. You're right. I did skip a lot because I knew that if I took really good notes, we'd be here for 7 hours.
I'm so sorry. Keep going.
No,
keep going.
You're fine. You're fine. So no, that was a very important detail that we had to tell listener. It was just I'm going to skip a lot of like the family times and the brew times until it's, you know, necessary.
Yeah.
So she gets this incredible review. Everybody's congratulating her. And she's like, just another day in the office. Nobody look at me. I'm nobody. It's fine. And being all humble about it. And then he is stocking the refrigerator, the commercial refrigerator.
The commercial walk-in cooler.
That's the one. Thank you. That's
and
the
who
one.
who coined the term bangxiety? Because I had so much bangxiety.
I mean,
this whole time.
I had bangxiety. I don't know who did that, but they're a genius. I had bangxiety even during the masturbate because Raphael was in the next room and he was talking about his pants are down to his shins.
He's in the living room.
His shirt's all the way up. He's just on the living room
and didn't
fucking
he say
floor.
He like cummed in a way he's never come before with his load.
Oh my God, yes.
I can't talk about his load right now. I just can't do it.
He comes in and it's just streaming like a fountain.
Yes.
Like, that man's holding you rent-free. You respect his couch.
Absolutely. He's just fountaining like it's orc times.
You better Febreze that when you're done, sir.
Oh God, he had to get out the buckets. It's bad. So, okay, so he's in that walk-in cooler and he's putting vegetables away. She comes in and he like goes to kneel next to her and he's like, good review, great job. And she's like, yep, it was fine. It's great. And he's like, you are really undervalued here. And she's like, it's the way the industry works. Like, get off of this because you don't know what you're talking about. I have to pay my dues. I have to, learn the shit. And then someday I do hope to have my own restaurant.
But at the time, and she points out like this guy's name is bringing people in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So then, listen, how the fuck did this happen?
I don't know,
but
as a
so sudden.
As a health inspector, I was shook. I was shooketh. I have seen a dog in a walk-in cooler, and I was less shocked at that point than when I saw this.
I will read an excerpt here.
You can read an excerpt, and I will react to that.
Please.
Before I know it, I'm flat on my back, and she's kissing me so hard I can't get a breath.
Yeah.
Her mouth is hot and sweet. It's terrifying seeing Chef Centeno lose control so completely like this. But also, it's hot as fuck. They're
Obviously.
in a fridge.
They're in a refrigerator.
She's giving him a blowy in a walk-in cooler next to the car. No. First of all,
it's at her work job, everybody.
You know how unsanitary that is? Right by the carrots. That could be going in a salad where you're not cooking it, you're not reheating it. You know what bacteria could be growing in there. If I walked in on that restaurant would be shut down immediately. Like, no sex in the champagne room, no sex in the walk-in cooler.
Bang, boom, bong, health inspector times with Kiran.
I've been literally waiting for this all day long.
That I've never been doing an inspection and walked in on that. I would be like, I'm taking your permit and I'm asking for therapy bills.
Incredible. No, but truly, especially with the way he has learned to come now that he's thinking about her.
He's gonna go everywhere. And also, it's very cold in walk-in coolers. You have to keep a temperature of -5 degrees Celsius or less.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
I don't know.
They say that they're cold.
I guess his dick can just stay, like, the cold doesn't affect it.
Oh, no. He's the turgidist. Even in that cold. Yeah.
But as she's giving him a blowy,
the door opens.
The anxiety is correct, as you should have it, because in walks the manager, the owner's brother.
No. Isn't it the guy? Isn't it the head guy? Isn't it the head chef?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even worse.
Yeah, he walks in because Giacomo walks in and is like, what's going on here? And she can't say anything because she's got a mouthful of dick.
I mean, and like, holy fuck stick, this is wow. And meanwhile, he like clearly doesn't understand the culture he's walked into because he's like, yeah, I bet like the older manager will be like, wink, great job, dishwasher. We'll just, we'll chuckle about it later. No, she's getting fucking fired. And like, so are you.
And like, honestly, you both deserve it. Don't fucking walk-in cooler at your work job.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a 2-for-1 deal on firings.
You're both out, and she's like upset as hell.
Yeah. That was the part that didn't ring true. It's like, why would you risk it all, throw it all away for
I mean, he does seem to have a very deep sexual hold on her.
It's true.
He has her in his thrall.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like, he sort of addresses that in the prose, he's like, she's so out of like she's so out of control.
Yeah, she's swaying so wildly between both those things. Right?
And she does seem to like be someone who's very buttoned up, but when it comes to him sexually, like it is a pattern that she kind of just loses it.
Yeah, sexually and then relationally later. Like bitch drives 1,000 miles on a dime.
It's wild.
What? Yeah. So, okay, they get fired. Boner is irate on their behalf because Boner does not know there was a walk-in cooler blowing.
No,
he was like, the injustice.
Boner is just like, how dare you?
Boner's ready to pick it. Like, he cannot with this outcome.
Meanwhile, Kieran's like, they deserved it.
Yeah, Boner's like, I'm doing a change.org petition and I'm on Facebook going, good, glad for it.
So, all right. So then she comes out in her shitty car and he goes over to her and she's obviously upset. He finds out that she has been super fired and he's like, why don't we go somewhere? Like we can go for a drive or we can get food or we can do whatever. And he leaves his bike when she unlocks the car door. So don't they end up at a lookout? I feel like
and then they go to the trailer for tacos. Like Rafa feeds them.
That's right. Yeah.
Rafa makes amazing tacos that he learned how to make in Mexico.
Yeah, he went to spend like summers or something with his grandfather in Mexico. Really cool. Anyway, he's also like a healer dude.
I thought that was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a stoner healer dude as well.
Yeah, he's like got a lot of like indigenous knowledge, like indigenous Mexican knowledge. Yeah. And it's like it adds to like the history and just like the layers of this book that like the culture is present in so many different ways and very organically.
Absolutely. And I love that she seamlessly blended like all of his indigenous knowledge and the way that he pulls from that culture and then very like stoner surfer dude at the same time. Like he's so California surfer dude.
Yeah. And she's like, wait, you grow weed here? This is illegal. And he goes, no. Hydroponics, another place, totally legal. Don't you worry about it, girl.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
There's a line in these chapters about how like people in the area, especially the women, are preparing the soil for spring, and they're always like planning ahead and always looking towards the future, and like, and I just loved like all of the metaphors in this book were so rich. Like
it's genuinely a really beautifully written book.
Oh yeah,
tied together so beautifully and like prepared you for what was coming.
Absolutely. I also really liked that like throughout the book he notices hot women everywhere.
I know.
He's not dead. He sees like a mom and she kind of shoots him the look and he's like, she's cute. And he talks about how previously he loved hooking up with moms because they just wanted to have sex with him and he could leave.
Absolutely. Like, and why not?
He's like, and he, like, even his caseworker, Sugar, he calls her Sugar and he's like flirting with her and she's like, she's really cute.
And he says Sugar doesn't know she's sexy.
I know. He has all these observations about her and he calls her Chichona, which means that she's like busty.
Yeah.
Like, because chiches in Spanish is like boobs. So it was like he calls her that in his head. Like he's like actively like
I also loved when he's like, I loved when he's asking about her dog, and he's like, "So is like the new itch shampoo working?" I was like, "You pay attention."
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I love that because it made every time he chose her so much more poignant to me because his eyes didn't fall out. He just decided that she was the one that he's going to like actively pursue. And that was awesome.
That was cool.
It was really great. Okay, so then let's see what happens. Don't they get together for something else?
Go to your notes, Lynn. Go to your notes.
Together. Lynn, save me.
I don't know. Like they do a lot of talking in that scene.
They kind of get to know each other.
Yeah.
They talk about the bakery. Is this what she tells him what happened to her dad?
No, maybe.
No, that's later.
Doesn't matter. Let's just, this is when it happens. So she tells him that, oh, yes, it is, because he says, can you go back to the bakery? And she says, no. And he is like very confused about it. And so she says, the bakery's closed forever. And we find out either here or some other time that it's because the bakery is right on the border between two rival gangs, and the other dudes, like his gang, the East Side gang,
They
protects
protect
the
them
bakery.
and they pay taxes to them for
Yeah.
protection. But this other gang came and was like, you have to pay us. And the dad was like, no, we're under protection for this other gang.
Right.
But
Yeah.
these people came and beat the shit out of her dad
Almost killed him.
Almost killed him. And later they talk about how he seems a little bit different, like it forever changed him.
Yeah.
And until another employee came with like a gun and basically scared them off.
Right.
But there was no police intervention because, and I really liked this, the other employee was there not legally, and he didn't want to be deported by ICE. So he quit the job and just left. And I was like, I like that. I like that. That was a good layer. That was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you know, her dad understands the score. Like he's been paying
like going
taxes.
To the police is not going to do anything.
Yeah.
It's just going to make it worse probably.
Absolutely. So since then, the bakery has been closed, and they're like thinking about selling now because there's been a bunch of people sniffing around, a bunch of investors trying to buy up property in the area. And they've noticed that like a lot of their neighbors are like selling their houses and moving elsewhere because it's just like fertile ground for realtor vultures. Yeah.
Gentrification time. A lot of people are moving in.
Yeah.
But this gets him thinking, and he's like, instead of selling, would your parents want to maybe rent it?
Yeah.
Because then that would even make them more money in the long term because they could rent it. And then when they did decide to sell it, it might even be even higher prices at that point.
And so I like that scene.
Same. Yeah. I like that scene because I think it shows their dynamic really well, and it's like another place where she gets to assert a boundary while still listening to him. It's really cool. So she asks him to like basically be the muscle while she talks to these real estate investors. And he interrupts her. He's cheekily sitting on a counter in the kitchen. And he's like, hey, your dad ever think about renting instead of selling? And she's like, shut your fucking mouth. Like,
she's like, you're here to be silent.
Yeah.
Stop that. This is my thing.
Middle of something.
Sorry. Yeah. So, it's really cute because he's just like, oh, Chef Centeno's coming out and I really like it, but I'm still going to be my cheeky self and like see what happens. It's adorable. But
I like that he's like such an ideas person because his dad, which we haven't talked about, his dad is nicknamed Dreamer. But like in a lot of ways, Eddie is kind of a dreamer. Like he dreams big and he gets excited by big ideas and like big plans. And so like, it's like he's kind of like the good version of his dad's dreaming in a way.
Right. And for all his lack of like, he doesn't really believe in himself or his own skills, but he believes in everyone else around him. Like not just her. He thinks she's the most awesome thing and so competent. But he's also like, my brother and Vanessa got this. Like, they are going to do this business. They are amazing. Like, he's so smart. He has a scholarship. Like, he just is boosting everyone up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like that because he, at this stage in his like own emotional development, he is still idolizing his dad. And meanwhile, he's denigrating himself. And so he basically thinks that he's the bad version of his dad, whereas he's actually the much better version.
Well, and we didn't really talk about his dad. So his dad, they do bring this up throughout the book, and I think they've already brought it up a few times. His dad is missing, possibly presumed dead. They don't know where he is. He basically disappeared as soon as the two boys were put in jail, and his youngest was taken by the uncle and the grandma, which the boys actually arranged because they were like, he can't be alone raising this child. This child has a chance to get out. We need to make sure he gets out. And during this time, like there's periods where the brother is like, give up on our dad because he was a little bit older. And from flashbacks, I think we see that he took on the parental role. He knew a bit more. He shielded the other kids.
Absolutely.
And whereas Eddie is like, I'm trying to find my dad. He's paying people, including like he goes to a church to go talk to his dad's old drug buddy, basically, and get some like clues there about what his dad might have been up to before he disappeared.
Yeah.
It's framed so like interestingly because they find a number somewhere, they call it, and the dad answers. Like, it's
because
like they
everybody, the story is he's dead.
Yeah.
Like Eddie got a call in prison being like, your dad is dead. He was big murdered. And Eddie feels like this incredible amount of guilt and shame because he wasn't there to protect his dad.
Exactly.
So, but then they call this number. He thinks he hears his dad's voice. Everybody else is like, don't open that Pandora's box. And he's like, I can't not. I have to find him.
What I like about that is they bring that up later, that like everyone in that neighborhood talks. Everyone knows the score. No one really thinks his dad is dead. Like we'll talk about it later. But like when she comes to visit him 10,000 miles, she's like, oh yeah, I just asked people and they just told me what the score was. It's just, they don't want him to know because everyone else has the objectivity to be like, you're better off without him.
Totally.
He's better off where he is.
I was under the impression that everybody thought that the dad was dead and that Rafa was the one who told her where he was going because he told Rafa, and that's the only person that actually knows.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
You know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. But I do remember her saying everyone talks in this community. You think like...
Yeah, it's definitely like a grayer issue than death normally is.
Yeah, it's very much like he's probably dead, but also let's not worry about it.
Also that.
Like let sleeping dogs lie, kind of.
Yeah, that's very much Sal's whole thing. His older brother, he's like, regardless, he's not here and he didn't choose to communicate anything with us. And so why don't we just decide he's dead? Like, let's move forward. Let's keep going. And Eddie's like, I can't. I have to figure this out. I have to know.
And they have so much trauma in their past because their mother and sister, little sister, so sad, content warning, child death, died in a car accident. And we later go into how that happens. And can we talk about that here? Because it's a little more of a flashback. So
content warning for domestic violence.
Yes. So the way it's framed, initially, we only hear about Dreamer really from his memories, his ideas, where he frames him very much as like a man who was straight for a very long time. He was out of the drug game. He was working blue collar. But then, you know, the drugs got him again. But we see him and he is a horrible husband.
Oh, man. I didn't even think about this until right now. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kiran. You can have the floor back in just a sec.
No, go ahead.
But this was oh, shit. Mia Hopkins, you fucking hot genius. Up until this point, we have only seen like his lucid thoughts about his dad and like everything that he consciously thinks about his dad. And he ends up having like this sort of healing ceremony with Rafa where he smokes a bunch of shit. And we basically see like his dream memories when like the real shit comes out. And this is where we see like the crazy, terrible, abusive dynamic that he was living in, even when his dad was supposedly like had gone straight. So sorry, go ahead.
At this time, his dad was sober, allegedly. He had not gone back, but he was saying things like he was obviously hitting her. He was saying things like, you try to survive without me. You have no education. You have no job.
You're nothing without me.
The note that he makes where he's like, what are you talking about? Our mom has no job. She does everything in this house.
Literally everything for this whole family.
Yep.
And I like that like drinking is not considered like an
sober
issue.
It's sobriety.
Drinking is sobriety, according to them, because at least it's not like heroin. You know?
It really tells you about like the situation they're in where it's like, it's been much worse. This is fine.
Yeah, because he's hammered, but like he's not mething out. So I guess that's better.
And this is the night that things went really wild. And we find out that like the mom tried to escape with the 3-year-old who she literally had to take out of Sal's arms. She chose to just take the daughter, which I'm sure like also has insane repercussions on the 3 boys who got left behind.
Woof. Yeah.
And they find out the next day that a police officer comes and tells them like, your mom died on the scene and the baby girl died. We couldn't while we were treating her.
They were hit by a drunk driver, I believe.
They were hit by a drunk driver.
Yeah. Well, while she was trying to escape to her sister's house.
Yes, in Salinas.
Yeah.
It's also very like, oh, the patriarchy, because she takes the girl, she takes the girl because he wouldn't have let the boys go, because the boys are like hits,
absolutely,
and like the important ones. Like,
yeah.
And she didn't, he didn't want to let her go with the baby either, but like,
he was more likely to take her than he would have let her take the boys. His son.
I know.
Ah, you're so right.
And he talks a lot about how bitter he is that like the uncle and the aunt took Angel, the youngest son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's rough. But he still feels this intense connection and loyalty to his dad, which is totally understandable because it doesn't, like, the abusive dynamic doesn't really matter when a lot of times when you're a child thinking about your parent, like it just doesn't factor. So
but in the current day, he brings this up and he suggests like, oh, hey, if you think about renting, I know somebody who can go in here. Yeah. My brother is a brewmaster. People love his beers. You know what would be great? A tap room. Hipsters love tap rooms.
Right. So as it's gentrified, this is the business that will thrive.
I love that whole chapter because he's so gung-ho about this vision that he ends up basically steamrolling everyone to get them all in that room together.
Yep.
Yes. And then he's like, so to his like sort of sister-in-law person, he's like, yeah, no worries. I'll bring supper. Mm-hmm. And then to his, would-be girlfriend, he's like, hey, you want to cook some supper?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. He's like, oh, and Vanessa herself is like, what do you mean? Because she's like, this man has never cooked supper for us in his life.
No.
And when he asks his like girlfriend, she agrees to, well, not girlfriend at this point, but she agrees to do it. But even she's like, what? There's like a 5-year-old? I don't like cooking for kids. They're picky. Yeah. But she goes there and cooks and she brings everyone together. Like she has the child helping. She has the grandma helping. She has Vanessa helping. They're all doing it together. She makes everyone feel involved. Mm-hmm. And she makes this amazing traditional food that's very much of their culture and everyone loves it.
Yummy stew.
This excerpt of like
food porn.
Women's voices are full of energy.
Thank you.
I didn't hear many when I was locked up. Your ears begin to miss that sound. The laughter, the music, and the way they shape sentences. And Spanglish bouncing back and forth between the two languages to create something new, the language of home. I just love that so much.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm in the way here. So he grabs a beer and he just goes and sits on the couch. But he's just listening to them the whole time, being like, I missed this. It's so gorgeous. So they talk about, the whole scheme. He does make the misstep of being like, and also,
you can cook.
Yeah, she's unemployed right now, so she'll even make food. And she's like, hold the fucking phone.
Volunteering.
I love that though, because I love that she immediately shut him down and was like, do not speak for me again. Yeah. You are not volunteering me for shit.
Yeah, it was another place where she got to assert a boundary and be like, fuck that. No. Yeah. Like if it's going to happen, it's going to be my decision and not because you brought me into some sort of like cockamamie scheme you've only halfway thought through. So Vanessa like gets out her laptop and she's like, we're going to do some numbers together and figure out if it's possible. And I'm pretty sure I didn't rewind to make sure of this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Vanessa's like, I can just sell my house and then we'll have the money.
She remortgages it.
She remortgages it because she has equity because it's paid outright, I think.
Yeah. It's paid off completely.
So she can remortgage it. She's not going to sell it though, because I feel like she's more sensible than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was like, if that is the case, it does not ring true. But yeah, remortgaging.
I love it because Sal is like, baby, you don't have to do that for me. She's like, I'm not doing it for you. If this happens, I'm going to be an investor. I expect to own part of this. And I'm like, yes, Vanessa.
Yeah. Are we getting married or are we not, Sal? Yeah. Like, if this is forever, then I'm not doing it for you.
Yeah, and she like wants the investor like title. She wants to be a part owner. I'm like, good for you, girl. Get that paper.
Hell yeah. So afterwards, Carmen is like, don't do that again. Not okay. And he's like, you're right. That was shitty of me. And sometimes I don't think before I talk. And she's like, yeah, that's something you need to work on. And he's like, noted. Cool.
Yeah, I like that. Because he's trying to steamroller her again about like, sleeping with him or something like, and she's like, don't steamroll me. Like I can make my own decisions.
I make my own decisions.
Yeah.
You don't need to wheel and deal. Like he's always kind of like trying to find like the next angle or the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I respect it.
You're into it.
Because as she's dropping him off, he's like thinking like, oh, you want to come in? And she's like, no, Rafa's in there. Like, I'm not doing that. And then she's like, I can see you thinking, and like, I'm not fucking in my car. Like, just stop it. Just cool it a little bit. I'm going home because this was a lot. So
not right now. She's not fucking in her car.
Yeah, I was gonna say
later. She
that's not a forever rule.
And also
an exception.
Yeah, she makes a couple of exceptions that night because that night she also fucks in the same trailer as Rafa.
Yes,
she sure does.
The anxiety was real.
Amazing sex. It's even better than the first time, apparently.
Yeah, in a car. That's an incredible feat.
Truly, especially because like he's like lean the seat back. He knows how to have car sex though. He is directing it. He's like, you got to go this way, you got to go that way, and she's loving it.
And
he manages to get. He
manages to get a thumb in that booty.
Oh my goodness!
Even in a car,
he is working that thing.
Yeah, he's always got a thumb in that booty.
Yeah, but like I was impressed without like legit lube. Like
I know. She's apparently he does mention like she gets incredibly wet. He feels it. He can use that as lube. Yeah,
that's true.
It did stretch credibility, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's had quite so much.
Just like he stretched that booty hole.
He did.
I mean. Well,
or what does he call it? Her little star?
The little star of her. Yeah. No, and you know what? To be fair, because Mia Hopkins is a master, he's not actually like actively penetrating and retreating and penetrating and retreating. He just pops it in and, adds a little bit of it's not, it's.
And to be fair, when they do, like, not to skip stuff, but when they do get to that point in a separate sex scene, he asks her, like, is this okay with you? And she's like, he asked her, has you ever been penetrated there? And she's like, no, but I'm worried it might hurt. And he's like, well, let me try something. And he starts with the thumb.
Yeah. And he's like, this is as far as we'll go tonight.
A lot of consent, asking every step of the way, you okay with this? But not in like a weird way where it's like when you're kissing someone, like, is this okay?
Oh my God.
Is this okay?
No. Can I move my hand to your shoulder? Oh God. Yeah. So, okay. And when they get together this time, it is because he goes another step further in his dad's mystery. And he gets really, really emotional because he shared a memory about his childhood with his dad, where his dad would always get his mom red roses when he wanted to say he was sorry. But because he's Dreamer, like there's an apology, but that doesn't mean that anything's going to change.
Yeah. No, and the way he described that was like how he got to hold the roses, and in the paper, the thorns were like kind of stinging him a little bit, but he was so excited to bring the flowers to his mom. I thought that was, again, such beautiful writing.
So beautiful. And he says, I wanted so badly to be a part of their adult world.
Yeah.
The idea of sorry meaning not having to change is such a prominent like thread with Dreamer. And it's also a prominent thread with him until later. I just really like that kind of journey that he goes on.
They also kind of like, this is where they bring up Dreamer's good with women, but also like he's good at finessing women, which will come up later.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a charming smarmasaur. So after he has this like emotional moment, he decides to call Carmen. And he's like, can you come see me? And she's like, no, I can't. We're like tucked in for the night. I can't do it. And he's like, yeah. Cool. That's fine. You're right. It's a silly idea. But she can hear that he's like nearly crying. So he ends up walking back to the garden. And when he gets there, because he lost his bike, his bike did get stolen.
Which is a good note, because he's kind of like, man, he half expected it.
Yeah. He's like, fuck, I always lock it up, but I was so worried. It was the night that she got fired, and so did he. And he was just like, I was so worried about, comforting her that I just put my bike on the ground. So dumb. Anyway, so she's at the gate of the garden and he's like, you said you couldn't come out. And she's like, I was worried about you. And so I snuck out of my room like a 15-year-old.
And he's like, did you take the window? And she's like, no, I went out the back door.
Yeah. So they end up driving around getting food, fucking in that car.
Yeah,
Good times. Good times.
Yeah. And then he invites her into the trailer, and then they do have more good sex on the floor of the trailer. Hot stuff.
Rafa's like next door being like,
oh my God. Rafa's just like sleeping.
He's a
Although
stoner.
Rafa clearly hears, because later he's like, just to tell you, I'm going to be out for the night. So if you want to have some fun again, now's the time.
Well, he sees them when he leaves in the morning.
Yeah.
Still lying there naked.
What's his name is splayed out, just cock for Jesus out. Oh my God.
Titties out for the trailer.
Yes. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God.
But are they little? Are they little nipples?
Are they tiny nipples?
They're tiny areolas on, they're brown tiny areolas.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So then they decide that they're going to have a meeting with her parents and Sal and Vanessa. He gets a little upset because like Vanessa called Carmen directly to set up the meeting, and he's like, oh, like he feels sort of cut out because it was his idea. Yeah. And she is very like,
she's like, even I'm not that involved. I'm just setting up the meeting. It's between my parents and them. It's not between us. It's them.
Right. Like pragmatically, legally, only they really need to talk. You were a huge part of it, but like you don't have to be there. Anyway, he does end up going to that meeting. Oh my God. Isn't it this night where she stays over at the trailer and then they're late for the business meeting?
Yes. That was awful.
Yeah.
Literally
so she comes
awful.
in and she's still in her pajamas and she's not wearing a bra. So she's like covering her nips, and her dad is
prim
like,
and proper mother.
Yeah, her dad is calm, but her mom is like not. She is like, you can hear them shouting it, like kind of angrily talking to each other. And she goes, I'm going to go change. I'll be right back. And the mom already didn't like him, but now she really dislikes him. She only really wants to talk to Vanessa. And he makes the point that like, she like hates him, but he's kind of like, I would probably hate myself a little bit too if like my daughter snuck out in the middle of the night to go like have like sex all night with a felon.
So she says like, I'm so sorry that you saw us like that. I'm so sorry that my mom treated you that way. And he very pragmatically is like, no, I get it. Like
have you seen me lately?
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's all beat to hell because of some gang thing he had to do a little while ago. He had to like help try to burglarize this very small drug dealer, and
who it turned out had no guns.
Yeah, no guns. It was
he just wanted them to leave him alone. And this is also where like I really liked this scene because it talks kind of like about the mundaneness of being a gangbanger. Like it's not anything like sexy. It's not anything especially violent. It's like him and a methed out 18-year-old who's his like, who keeps calling him his like bro or whatever. And they're like, he's like, oh, I'm stuck here with this methed out teenager. And now we got to go break into this place and pistol whip this kid. And he doesn't even have any like guns.
Right. And the guy, and he's like, you don't have to hit him again. Like this, you got to stop. And the guy's like, I'm Rambo.
Yeah, and then he accidentally hits him with the pistol.
Right. So,
oh my goodness.
So he shows up.
Oh shit, I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah. So he shows up. He's covered in tattoos. He's got this giant black eye, and so he's like, I don't blame your mom because you're her everything. Like my beautiful, accomplished, wonderful daughter
is also an only child.
Child.
And I'm not like of their background, but as an ethnic daughter, this part rang really true. She has this thing where she lived away from home, but she moved back to home because culinary school is expensive. She doesn't have to pay rent. She's like, whatever, they don't pay me rent. But because of that, her mother is like treating her like a teenager in some ways and is like you are not allowed to see this boy anymore. And she tells him, I will make a deal with Vanessa, but you must not see my daughter again. You must not contact her, and you need to stay away from her because she can do better than you, and you're not derailing her future. And he actually does think of every option. He's like, well, what would be the best option? And in his mind, because he has such low self-esteem, and he keeps going through this cycle in his mind where he's like, do you actually like me, or do you like me because like I'm a bad boy and you like having sex with me?
Am I a phase?
Am I a phase? Because she's like, she sees the good in him, but he does not see the good in himself. And so he takes it, which rightfully she gets really pissed off at, because she's like, you should not make that decision without me.
Yeah. He says, this is the one time in my life I can be a hero.
Yes.
And so he does, like, he agrees to it. He's like, I won't talk to her. I'll delete her number from my phone. I'll do all the things. And she calls him later and she's like, what the fuck, man? Like, was I nothing? Did you mean anything you said to me? Because at one point he's like, do you have any boyfriends? And she's like, yeah, I've dated a few guys, but it's rough. And he says something about like her being so busy. And she goes, oh no, for the right guy, I will make time. And he goes, oh, so like a guy like me? What about me? And it's so like he's made so many overtures about this being more than just sex. Like he's been the not touchy-feely, but like emotionally vulnerable one in this dynamic.
Well, and she says, you said you wanted to see where this would go.
Yeah.
Why are we not seeing where this goes?
Yeah. So she's fucking pissed, and I totally get it. She hangs up on him.
And then he gets a call from his dad.
Yeah.
So that starts this whole...
And his dad is straight up like, who's Carmen?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's so weirdly chill about calling his son he hasn't spoken to in like 5 years.
He's like, dead? Question mark.
Like, he's like, hey, who's Carmen? Because he answers thinking it's Carmen. And he's like, oh yeah, no, like
I'll fix it. Carmen, I'm just listening. And he's like, yeah, who's that? And he's just like,
me, it's Dreamer. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Come see me, his dad says.
But he's like, don't worry, I'll get you a fake ID. I know skipping like the state's going to be a real issue because you're on parole, but don't worry, it'll be fine.
And so he wants his son to take all these risks to come see him, but won't tell him anything
without a thought
on the phone. I know, it's wild. And then right after that shitty like dad call, where he's like literally going to get him in trouble with his parole officer, Rafa calls him mijo. Like he calls him my son. And I was just like, this is your dad.
Yeah.
I was like, Rafa is your Tommy Chong dad. He loves you so much.
Yeah.
You have your father figure. Like,
right. He's right there, and he's been there the whole time. He did get you weed, and that's sort of how you met. And like, that only makes it sweeter.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? Like, don't we all like form weird relationships with our weed dealers sometimes, like where they become really close to us? Was that just me in my 20s where my weed dealer, I was like, you're kind of like my therapist / dating counselor? Just me? Okay. It's fine. It's legal here now. I go to basically the Apple store. It's fine.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So then the whole thing happens with like that we talked about already, where he does this like kind of almost a spirit walk where Rafael kind of leads him through like meditation. Almost like not intentionally necessarily, but Rafa's like offering up kind of prayers in the background and
like protection spells, and like he's doing as much as he possibly can to keep his son safe. Yeah, because he's the only one who gives a shit about that kind of thing. Ugh. So
packs up and goes to Washington.
Yeah, he gets on a bus.
Before he goes, he sneaks into her bedroom.
Yes. Oh my God, you're right.
And they have like the hottest sex scene of the entire book.
Wow.
Where not only is it like a hot sex scene, but it kind of discusses like their roles. You see him kind of like reenacting like basically his masturbation fantasy.
Yeah.
Where he's looming over her. And you see her like trying to assure him like, no, like I don't just like you because I like rough sex. And like,
right.
Because she does like him to talk dirty to her. She does like him to like, and he thinks that's because, oh, you like the idea of me, but not me. And she's telling him, no, I think you're a good man. Yeah. I don't think you're a hero. I don't think you're perfect, but I think you're a good man and there's more to you.
Yeah.
But they do this like great thing where she's like, well, all you want from me is sex, right? So this is all you're gonna get.
Oh,
And
It's
it's
naked
like
and just
she's
lies
like,
down. Yeah.
yeah, she's like taking back like some of that power. It's
And he also is like, you should put bars on your window.
because I broke into your window, so I guess
He's
they
like,
need bars.
Yeah, he's like, it's really easy to break in here, so you should put bars on your window. I thought that was really funny. And he very smartly gets up and sneaks away, like, and he wants to tell her, like, I'm sorry, but he's like, I kind of got to leave. Your mom's gonna fuck me up.
Well, and
I'm
he
gonna
also
break your
doesn't want
heart.
to, he doesn't want to bring her into his bullshit. And so he wants to wake her up. Oh my God, because at some point, at some point in this goddamn book, when they're talking about like the business and what it can be someday, she's like, no, my family has run this bakery for 3 generations, and all of the old family knows, like all the old people in the neighborhood know us.
And they know you because your family's there for 3 generations.
Yeah, you've been gangbanging in that area for 3 generations. It pretty much says that. Like that's almost verbatim. It's very. I really like
about how they're like the king and queen of East LA.
She says we're royalty there,
and he's just calling her my reina.
Mi reina.
Oh my God. So when he's leaving, he whispers like, Mi reina, I'm going on a trip.
I'll be back.
And then he fucks off and he thinks that's good enough. Oh, she slipped through it. So listen, we're on a bus for a long time.
But I will say I like his little friendship with the migrant worker and the details about his life and how the adorable migrant worker laughs when they go to a town called Weed and takes a picture for his wife.
Yeah. No, all of the details are great.
Has never seen snow before. I just want you to know.
He does the sexiest thing.
He makes the point. He's never left LA. The only time he left LA was to go to prison. And he's like, I wouldn't exactly call that touring the world going to Delano.
Yeah. No, but seriously, he's on this bus and he does the sexiest thing a person can do, if you will recall, and that is, I've never seen snow before.
He's like, oh, look at it. It's like little angels.
Yeah. So it ends up being very, very poignant, but I noted that and I was like, this makes all of this worth it.
At least he got to go see snow and make friends.
Yes.
With a senior citizen.
Yeah.
So can we yada 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 his dad? Because honestly, like,
okay,
so
he gets there and he gets picked up by, and I really like this because growing up in East LA, he thought all white people were rich, and he's like, oh, this is the first poor white person I've seen. Yeah. And initially, the way he describes her, she's got kind of janked up teeth, but he realizes like this girl is like really nice,
so nice, like very salt of the earth.
And earlier, he had been to see the girlfriend of his dad when he was in AA, and it was a really nice lady, a Black lady named Daisy, and
who was like 30.
Who was like 30, 35, and she was like much younger than his dad, but she was like very together, and she was like trying to keep him sober, and in fact was the reason he was able to like survive, because she basically cashed out all his money and sent him here to Lila, who's her mother, we find out. And she picks him up, and Lila is the nicest woman. She probably she's the nicest woman, and I'm assuming she doesn't know Daisy's relationship to this man, because otherwise she's super nice.
I mean,
she gives him a jacket. Yeah. Dreamer is fucking the daughter and the mama.
Would we expect anything less? He's also still getting drunk. He's still talking himself up in big game in the bars. He's getting beat up because he's flashing his money around. Mm-hmm. He's doing the same shit. And
I will say he has to drive him and his drunk buddy home in their truck. And he's like realizing like, oh, fuck, you're fucking. And he just is like,
they almost get like beat up by a couple of hicks. Like it's really terrible. No, but I will say as a person from a super duper small town, no lies detected. And like, there's a good chance Lila knew.
Yeah. No, I know. I've lived in those communities, and I'm like, I know she knew, but they kept talking about how nice she is. And she was all like beaming about her daughter, Daisy. Like, she was my pride and joy. And I'm like, why are you fucking her?
Listen, I grew up in a place where like best friends, like I grew up in a place so small that in high school, best friends could not get mad at each other if one broke up with a person and then the other best friend started dating them or fucking them later, because there are just so few people that you just understand like anybody is fair game if they're single. Like there is no I'm loyal to you, so they're off limits. Absolutely.
No, for sure. For sure. I grew up in a mining town, so I do get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say,
I do feel like I learned a lot about Melody in our talk, in the Patreon talk with Rebecca Witherspoon. I was like, oh, no, this really puts a lot into context for me. Because you were like small town bonding.
I've been in a big city too long, but you're right. It's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also liked how Eddie noted, he's like, damn, all these women are too good for my dad. It's just like my mom again. All these women are taking care of him, supporting him, doing everything, and he would be dead without them.
Well, and he makes the correlation. He decides that his dad and women are the same as him and Carmen when they're not.
No, not at all. But in that moment, he goes home with his drunk dad, and who's there? Carmen in one of Lila's sweatshirts, just calmly drinking coffee, like, hey.
Oh my God.
She drove so many miles. My goodness.
So just a quick, synopsis. Basically, what's his name? Dreamer says that, like, he makes up this whole story about how he, like, almost got shot in the head, but then, like, jumped over a cliff, and, his old friend saved him by faking his death. But
this man watched Sopranos too many times.
Yes.
He's like, oh yeah, he gave me, I walked out, but really he was just blackmailing his friend.
Yeah, he found out that his friend was cutting deals with that gang that beat up Carmen's dad, and that's one of the reasons that they've been so brave, ballsy lately, and like why his gang didn't check them when they beat up somebody that was technically under their protection. And so he's like, yeah, I saw all of this. I told him that like, I got tapes, I got pictures. I told him that I will tell the higher ups and you will be like fish food unless you pay me and let me disappear.
And apparently this man made so much. He is like, whatever, it's chump change to just support his lifestyle and pay for his like mother's like home.
Yeah, and like in Wenatchee, Wisconsin, that's true.
Yeah.
The cost of living is low.
I also like they did talk a lot about how like the cartel is involved too, and like the cartel gets like half of what the gang gets.
Yeah.
They're like part of that cartel, they're connected to it, but they're like a lower faction. I like those little dynamics, and they bring that up here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did I say Wisconsin? I meant Washington.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. There is Wenatchee, Washington.
God
damn it.
I'm Canadian. I would have gone with it. I would have been like, sure. Yeah.
I know. It occurred to me that like a bus ride there would be nuts. Yes, Lynn.
There is a story that the dad tells.
Yeah.
The Dreamer tells about how Trouble got his nickname.
Oh, yeah.
And so he got his nickname because he and his brother were setting off fireworks and they didn't know what they were doing. And they set fire to this old palm tree, and Dreamer draws it out and makes this big story about it. But he's called Trouble because he's the one that got caught. Like, he's like, he
was the fall guy.
Yes. Like, it's wild to me. Like,
yeah.
You're not Trouble. You're just the one that got caught. Like,
yeah, because Sal was there.
Like the neighborhood started apparently chanting "Trouble, trouble, trouble,"
like wild. And so he's like had this like identity put on him.
Yeah,
when he's not any more Trouble than anyone.
No, absolutely,
but he
absolutely.
Also shows how his dreamering is really just him bullshitting.
Yes.
Yeah. All he does is bullshit. He's always the hero of his own story, but all he's doing is fucking up with everyone he claims to love.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so Carmen drove over there. She claims, because she doesn't want to tell the truth, she's like, and she's smart. She knows what's up. She grew up in this neighborhood. She's, oh yeah, I just followed the truck. Like, I just followed your bus. I just followed your bus the entire time. And because Dreamer's shit for brains, he believes it. He's like, oh, right. But really, she went to Rafa and was like, what's going on? And Rafa was like, he's here. You got to go get him.
Yeah. She liquors him up real good to get those lips flapping.
Yeah.
Oh, I love her. So during this whole thing, like, it has gone to shit in every way possible. And poor Eddie is the only sober one in the state, it feels like.
Basically.
It's terrible. Like, we've all had those nights where it's just like, I could wring all of your necks. Everything is bullshit right now, you drunk fucks.
Stop puking. Get some sense in your heads.
Good Lord. Remember how to get home.
He's like the sober person with the worst drunk people in the world. And he's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, and like
he's driving without a license.
Oh my God, this poor thing. And like, he doesn't do that.
It's so necessary because it kills every delusion he had about his dad.
Yep.
He finally sees him for what he was.
Yep, absolutely. And so he's like, oh, I like the emperor has always had no clothes.
Exactly.
And fuck. So, and then Carmen is there and he's like, oh my God, like not only does the emperor not have clothes, but like this is the direction I want to go in. And she just appeared. Yeah. Like it's amazing. Yeah.
And I love Carmen because Carmen is like, okay, yes. She's like, I live with my parents, but she's like, my parents can't, I'm 24 years old. My parents are not, I'm an adult. I have a career. She's like, my parents can think what they want. I love my parents, but like, they don't make decisions for me. I'm 24.
Right. Absolutely.
I did write down Carmen the badass right there because she was
really
great.
was.
And then I wrote, oh shit, Sal.
Yeah, because he gets a call or something. No, they're about to go home. He finally has cell reception. Oh my God. Oh, the flashbacks I had during these parts.
PTSD.
Oh my God. Phone that he got at the gas station with his condoms.
Oh my God. And like waiting, my flashbacks were watching my phone in the car as we drove down the 15-mile curvy highway until we got to mile 3 when I knew my reception would come back. And like driving down there just to make phone calls sometimes.
This is me at my job. Honestly, this is me at my job because I go to like Indigenous communities and I'm just driving down these weird roads and I'm like, I get cell service there. I don't get cell service in Lac Brochet. I get cell service. And you just know where you're going to start to get the service. It was so real.
Yep, absolutely. So it turns out Sal's been shot and he
but it's just a flesh wound. It's just a flesh wound.
Just a flesh wound. No big deal.
Legitimately.
Ochoa is going on a rampage. Ochoa needs to get his shit together.
So Ochoa is that drug dealer that they beat down and like he didn't want to be there, but like he was there when he got pistol whipped. And so Ochoa is trying to get revenge and get his credibility back by exerting revenge. Sorry.
And like, I really like this part. He goes to talk to like his little tweaked out drug buddy. And he tells him, he's like, dude, it is not worth it. Get out of here.
Like, that's the drug dealer. That's not the buddy. That's the drug dealer. Yeah.
Oh, he's talking to Ochoa. Yeah, he tries to be like, Ochoa, this is not worth it. You need to get out of this road. Yeah. He's like, it leads nowhere good. Revenge, he's like, it's just petty. It's not going to lead anywhere. And what are you getting vengeance for, really?
And also, he's like, you know the score. Deep down, you know the score. I did not want to be there. They made me. Like, I had to go. I'm very sorry about it. But like, you know, that's how this works. And because he figures out that Sal looks just enough like him that like in a drive-by situation, it would make sense that Ochoa would shoot Sal instead of Eddie.
Sal to grow a beard. He's like, Sal, you look better with a beard. And so Sal grew a beard like him.
I know. So he looked even more like him. Anyway, so he's like, listen, we can be square right now because I snuck up on you. I got the drop on you. I took your gun from you. I could have killed you just now, but I didn't. And so you're going to drop this beef or it's going to go really badly because I'm a better gangster than you are. And that's just the facts.
He's like, I've been to prison, buddy. Yeah. Like, you don't even have guns.
Yeah. And he says, like, I don't want
out the wazoo.
Yeah. And more than that, he's got the experience to be like, I don't want my fate for you. I don't want you to go through the bullshit I went through because I thought that I had something to prove in the gang.
Exactly.
So it's obvious that Ochoa drops it with him, but then they do find out later that the guy, the accomplice, the one who actually did all the violence,
the teenager shot Ochoa.
Yeah.
No, the other way around.
No.
Ochoa shot.
Ochoa lived. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead.
No, so Ochoa shot the
Lalo.
Yeah, Lalo. The tweaky teenager.
Ochoa shot the tweaky drug dealer, so he did not take his lesson to heart.
Yeah.
But I will say I found that depressingly realistic.
Oh, totally. No, absolutely. Sure. He's like, and Eddie is very resigned. Eddie's just like, yeah, he didn't drop it completely, did he? Like,
he's just like, he could have gone all the way.
It's the start of, he knows that it's the start of potentially something more. Like this is, if it goes unchecked, will be a string of revenge that will sort of decimate the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Like
pinball back and forth.
The danger is like very real and very close to home, right?
But he also goes to the guy, his dad's old buddy, and says, "Listen, I know the score.
I'm out, baby.
I know all the shit, and I know where all the shit is."
And he's like, "And I need some favors from you."
And
he's like, "I'm out. I'm done."
Yeah, you're gonna let me go without any pushback at all, and you're gonna start protecting the people you fucking told you would protect, you ass.
Yeah, he's like, "You better take care of that bakery, and you better take care of every other person on this block that you say you're going to take care of."
And then he comes clean with his brother about the whole thing, with his dad.
And then he comes clean with her about literally everything.
All around.
Oh my God. And he says, when I was young, Dreamer ultimately like went off the rails because he started believing all of his various bullshit stories. And one of the biggest reasons was because he always had secrets from my mom. They were never on the same page. And so he says, "I'm telling you everything, and I will tell you everything for the rest of our nuptial lives." Because
he's like, "I want you to be my wife."
Yeah, because like I want to have an actual life with you and not I don't want to he wants to break some cycles.
And he does. He passes all of those flower bouquets and he picks her a herb one instead.
He picks her some
generational trauma one step at a time.
Truly. So the brewery's fucking rad. She does end up making artisanal sandwiches for them because she wants to.
Yeah, because she wants to like take her time and save her money, and she wants to like pay back her loans, and then she wants to open up her own place when she's financially sound. So it's a good spot for her. Her mother still doesn't like him, but she tolerates him, which I found deeply realistic as a fellow ethnic child. I was like, that mother's never going to like you, but she'll tolerate you. And, you know, once you give her a grandkid, she might soften a bit, but not really.
Yeah. No, and he is fine with that. He's like, I expect nothing more.
He's like, listen, she lets me in here now. Yeah. That's something. The dad apparently likes him a little bit more. So that's good. And they're just happy, you know, and
they're just fucking happily ever after, man.
Ugh, it's beautiful.
They show them having a nice, beautiful meal with like the whole family. Grandma is there and the little girl. It's beautiful.
I just want to let you know that the little girl's name is Muñeca.
Oh yeah,
that means doll. And I have never heard anybody with that name in my entire life. And when I asked my husband, who is Latino, he's like, "What? Why would you call your child doll?"
Do you think it's maybe a nickname, though? I feel like it might be a nickname.
You use it as a nickname all the time. Like, you're like, muñequita, like she's so, whatever. Like, as a proper name, it's like bizarre.
You never know. Indians sometimes name their child baby.
You never know.
That's true.
It could be different culture, like, because there's so many Latino cultures, it's hard to like.
Most definitely, yeah.
He was a cute child too. I liked when he's like, "Oh yeah, she's dressing her beagle up as like a her wiener dog up as a princess," and he's like, she's being a knight protecting her princess dog, and later she's like, "Tio Eddie, is that Tio Eddie? I want to talk to Tio Eddie," and he's like, "She's little. I don't know her age. She's little." Yeah. I love their little asides, like they mentioned her, and I loved how they mentioned the abuela, and she's always just wearing like a baseball cap and like her. She's ready to go. I just love those little details.
Well,
there's
and
a part
I love
in the beginning,
where
she's like talking to them, and she's like, "Don't you have like what does she say? I have it written down somewhere." She's like, "Don't you have like an uncle or somebody that's good looking and not
a great
too smart?
uncle?"
A great uncle, you know, I can get with,
looking and not too smart.
I love it. I love it.
So good.
Well, and I also love that throughout the entire book, he calls Muñeca's dog that asshole wiener dog.
Yeah.
Like he hates this fucking dog.
It's like Muñeca's just like, that's my and like when he walks in and Muñeca's like got like her hair straight up and one spray's like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And Vanessa's like,
"Crazy hair day."
Yeah, she goes, and she's like, "It's crazy hair day, Tio Eddie." And so Vanessa's like, "The bane of my freaking existence is Spirit Week." I'm like, that's so real.
Yeah, they should should call it the day that all parents have to work extra fucking hard to pull something out of their ass.
My poor partner has had to endure many crazy hair day last minute.
I have so many friends of mine who have kids and they're all that age, like 4 and 5. Like, I don't know what Spirit Week is, but it's like it's last week and now I got to dress him as a lumberjack. What the fuck is this?
It's hell. It's hell is what it is.
It's nonsense.
Pajama day is easy. Just put them in the pajamas. Just keep it to pajama day.
Fine. That's
everyone's got PJs. Crazy hair day. Come on.
Anyway. Oh my God.
It was a delight. It was so good.
I love this book.
Such a delight. 1010 would read again. Going to read the other ones. Loved it. Mia Hopkins, you are now on my must-read list.
Yeah, she's so good. Her craft is so tight.
You know what? I'm part of the Eddie Rojas hive.
Oh yeah.
I just like marveled every time there's so many little details. Like there was one time where he goes straight from the garden and he has his hands in clean earth and then goes to the rot of the gang, like I don't know what it was, central location, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a safe house. It was like an abandoned safe house. Yeah.
And it was like all rotting and like gross. And he'd gone from the garden to that. And I was like, what? You're amazing.
When he's talking about his dad's tattoos of his children's names, like it's like, but it's like got all these scars and his like drug use is visible and it's going through the names of his children. Just the symbolism of that. I'm like, beautiful.
Yeah, he says his track marks are visible through his kids' names. Oh my God. Yeah, she's goddamn Mia Hopkins. Like, how dare you almost?
I know, I'm like, and it's so great because she wasn't previously, like I had read her first book, but I liked it. I'm pretty sure I really liked it, but it's been years. It's been 5 years. I hadn't read anything else by her. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I rediscovered you. And I don't think I would have if it wasn't for this podcast.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, I love it. And I really there is something about the difference in the way I think about books that I know I'm going to be reading for the podcast. You know, it really helps me read much more thoughtfully and deeply, and I love it.
Well,
one of the reasons this podcast makes my life great.
Oh, Melody, and you shared
our life great too.
Oh shoot,
it's a cycle of greatness.
No, I love you. Okay, wait. So we got to do Lady Loves on that note. While I've got goosebumps because of all the love you're sending my way. Oh. Okay, I have a Lady Love, and that is, I have always loved plants. All right, and I thought for a while I had a brown thumb. It turns out I just didn't understand that you could get anything to make a plant stay alive, and so I would be like, oh, I can't have that plant because I don't have the right light in my house or whatever. But recently, I just discovered sun lamp. This is going to sound so stupid, but they're these teeny tiny little sun lamps that you can stick into the pot that then hovers over it. I don't know. Like there's something in my brain that never thinks like, I bet a human has invented a tool to fix this problem. I'm always like, problem exists. We live with problem now. And damn.
This is life now.
Yeah, no, really. So
my sister-in-law just said to me the other day that her like garden person, guru person, I don't know, was like, show me a like person who calls himself not a green thumb, and I'll show you someone who doesn't have good light in their house. Like,
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah,
truly.
That's as simple as it is, basically.
Yeah, and like the fact that you can choose plants according to your interest level. Like, I don't have a ton of plants that are like, I need attention constantly, because I know that I go through periods where I hyper focus on something else and I forget plants exist.
Snake plants. I have a snake plant. The best thing about my snake plant is I literally sometimes remember to water it and it's fine.
No, absolutely. ZZ plants are the same. Like the only time I've killed a ZZ plant is when I watered it too much.
I did kill a corpse plant once, and people still make fun of me because they're like, "There's a corpse is in the name, Kiran." I'm like,
you know what?
Yours was undead and then became dead. So
and the best part is, Lynn once gave me an aloe, and she was trying to tell me that aloe was dead, and I was like, "No, it's still alive." Like I was holding on to that ghost, and she's like, "You killed the aloe I gave you."
I'm just gonna give you another one. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my lady love. You can get
Beautiful.
sun lamps that just bring the sun inside for your tropical bullshit.
Yeah.
It's nice. They do timers even. Oh, it's great.
I have a lady love,
Yeah.
Melody. I'm
Lynn.
Karen, and my lady love is vitamin D.
Ooh.
Vitamin D. Did you know that vitamin D is something that you need to be
What
happier?
kind of vitamin D are you talking about, girly?
Well,
Mhm.
carpe dick is what I've got to say.
Carpe dick. What? Hey, where is this going?
I was talking about regular vitamin D,
Hmm.
the hormone that your body produces.
Indeed, yeah.
But yes, did you know that sometimes when you feel horrible and sad, it's literally because you have not seen the sun and have no recourse for producing any vitamin D.
Yeah.
And that if you take it regularly, you do feel a little better. And sometimes, regular medications and all that kind of stuff helps. But vitamin D, underrated. And I just want to say vitamin D deficiency does exist.
Truly, even though I'm on, proper meds given out by a psychiatrist, vitamin D is still in every single one of my daily pill little
There's a reason
pockets.
we tell people to go outside and touch grass.
Yes. Yes, and it's only partially to do with the grass. You're right. And actually, I think that we can combine our lady loves, Lynn, because even if you don't take a whatchamacallit, like a supplement, you can also get like a lizard lamp for yourself. You can give it to your plants, and you can get one for you.
We are vibing on so many levels.
Sun lamps are so helpful.
I'm like kind of allergic to the sun in a low-key way. I have rosacea, so it doesn't like agree with my face. But I've been taking it even in the summertime.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna double up in the wintertime and hopefully be happier.
The sun and you are enemies to lovers.
I know we are. We have such a star-crossed lovers thing, and it fits because it's also a star, etc., etc.
It's beautiful. It's like the movie Persuasion. It's like the book Persuasion. You and the sun.
Yes.
All right, what's your lady love, Kiran?
My lady love is First Aid Beauty. I do not know if it's an evil corporation, but I want to thank them because as someone who gets ingrown hairs, their pads are the most amazing. They also have a great exfoliate that prevents ingrown hairs, but I will guarantee you, if you have an ingrown hair, you rub that pad, 2 days, it is out. It is amazing. It is a miracle. And all my ladies who get ingrown hairs, the pads, the ingrown hair pads from First Aid Beauty, get them. They are worth it. Get the pack with the 60 because it's better value. It's good for you. They also have an anti-chafing stick that's quite inexpensive and apparently lasts 1,000 miles or something. It's amazing. It's working. It's keeping my summer good. I love the beach and I get ingrown hairs and First Aid Beauty is saving me. Please do not tell me that the CEO is a murderer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
I love that.
Don't tell this information to Kiran. Keep
Let me say my ignorant capitalist smooth bliss.
Yes, absolutely. First Aid Beauty, ingrown hair pads.
You can get it at Sephora. You can get it at Ulta. Go get it.
I now know what I'm getting my friend for her birthday, so this is great.
First Aid Beauty. You can get a little set with both.
Ooh, yes, please. All right, that's amazing. Okay, it's time for pluggables. Lynn, what do you have to plug?
Oh, I have written some books. And I just released a book called Imagine You and Me. It is great. And
it is. It's 10 out of 10.
Is it, Kiran? Oh, that's sweet. See, she doesn't like to review my erotica, but she will review my regular contemporary. So that's
I will. I have a post coming about it. Yes.
Yeah. So hit us with some tropes.
Okay, so it's friends to lovers. It's very like childhood friends, best friends, and it's very like ADHD sunshine meets uptight sort of accountant type.
Oh,
and they're just gone for each other, but don't really admit it. And then there's a fake dating / fake engagement shenanigans.
Yes, please.
I think it's pretty cute.
Well, and a plus size heroine.
And a plus size heroine. And we're happy about that.
Gorgeous cover.
She is so like, she's just goals. Like she's stylish and she's like so comfortable in her skin. And I'm in love with her and he is too. And it's wonderful.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, and you also have erotica. I don't know. Do you want to chat about that?
It's good erotica.
Kiran says, I don't want to talk about it, but it is good. Kiran
It's
says,
good. It does the job.
just, you know, maybe look up Elsie Venus if you're, you know, feeling a little frisky.
If you need a one-handed read, it's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Elsie
You know.
Venus. I love it. All right, perfect. Kiran, do you have anything to plug? Is the health inspector company?
I'm like, I do nothing. I work and go home. No,
You do not do nothing.
I have
She
no
is
artistic outlet though.
Fabulous all around is what she is.
You know what? I have an Instagram. It's private, but if you friend me, I'll add you.
She'll consider adding you.
Yeah, it's called. I'll consider adding you. It's Kiki Sid, KIKISID, and I do review books on it. I do recommendations and blurbs. I read a lot, so if you need a book recommendation, I keep a highlight reel there. Aside from Instagram, I'd like to plug some books. So I'd like to plug Moira Scott, Lynn Camden, Kimberly Lemming, and Blair Lee, and you can find them wherever ebooks are sold, and some of them in traditional publishing, but you do Kobo, you do Amazon, Google Books, Apple, go get them. They are all 10 out of 10. They all are very diverse and different, and they are all wonderful.
Aw,
Hard agree. Okay. So for some reason, my camera will just like stop in the middle of a Zoom meeting, and then I have to switch to my computer camera. I don't understand.
I mean,
it did get very like into your beautiful face, and I was like, look at her pores; they're so good.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I've been doing hot yogas because I decided to just like lean into my sweat.
You know what? It's good though. It exposes everything, and you're all nice and fresh. You look beautiful.
Truly.
Thank
you.
Like butter that skin.
Thank you. Okay, so we got to do a keep being a badass, and I think I know what it is.
You just cut out.
Tell us.
Okay, keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love Carpe Dick.
Yes, Carpe Dick.